goes down, everybody? Walker Dead Phoenix here, back again with another video for you guys. As you can tell from the title and from the thumbnail, this is going to be my review for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Since I did see it 2 days ago, the reason I'm reviewing it now is because I was busy. Unfortunately, I was super busy with other stuff. But now that I'm not busy, I could give you guys this review video talking about the film. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and as always, let's get into this video now, shall we? So yeah, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, yes, this is a movie review, and yes, surprisingly, this is the first movie review of a Marvel movie I'm actually doing on my channel. I do not know if I'm going to do another one of these reviews. However, if you guys want more, if you guys really want more, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If you really want more, just do those two things, and I'll see what I can do if I could review a Marvel movie. But anyway, going into talking about the film. This movie, it was a good movie, I'm not gonna lie, but I had some big problems with the film, and I am gonna get into that in a second, but first I want to give my positives as to what made this movie good. Positive number one, Benedict Cumberbatch, Doctor Strange, he is pretty... I'm not gonna lie, he was actually pretty decent in this movie. However, I feel like he didn't get enough screen time. The actor did a good job. I feel like the character, you could tell in this movie, the character got some character development, where he was talking with that other Doctor Strange. Yeah, and of course, spoilers to those who have not seen the movie. If anything, I'll probably be like, hey, spoilers, if you have not seen the movie yet, go see the movie, and then if you want to come back here to see this review. Anyway, so yeah, we get some development from Strange as to like, you know, what really happened to his sister. The reason I liked it that moment is because in that moment you could tell Strange gets some character development, because in the first this was one of my problems in the first Doctor Strange film. I'm like, why are you not going to mention your sister? But this was one of my problems with the first Doctor Strange. But I'm just glad for this movie that was somewhat finally addressed. I don't like how they did it, which I will get into that in a second. I did like that smart little scene right there in the movie. I did like that. The next big positive, I did like Wong in this movie. He was funny. He was pretty calm, collective. You could tell. You could tell that whenever a monster, you know, came to New York, like you could just tell he knew what he was doing. Like he knew what he was fighting. And I think he for like the third Sorcerer Supreme of the MCU, yeah, I think he did a pretty decent job. I think he's gonna continue doing that, which is fine, because in a way, that's giving the character of Wong more to do, because in past projects he was always playing a minor role. But it was actually pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie, it was actually pretty nice to see him get somewhat of a big role in this movie. Like, some of the things he was saying in the movie, which I'm not gonna say just yet. Yeah, some of the things he was saying in the movie were actually pretty fact. Like, yeah, like that's true. Another positive I had in this movie, Rachel McAdams. Rachel McAdams, God bless her soul. Like, just God bless her soul. I mean, she's a great actress. She's pretty great in this movie. I did like the variant of Christine. of Earth 838 of the Marvel Multiverse. I did like that version of her because she was like badass and ready to, like, you know, get her hands dirty, ready to go into the face of danger to save those she cared about. That's what I liked about her. Like wow, this woman is willing to get her hands dirty and do anything possible to save those she cares about. I'm like, wow. I just wish, it just blows my mind that this version of Christine is like this, but the other version is kind of a wimp, you know? But I actually liked this version of Christine. The actress did a great job. Again, God bless her soul, great actress. Rachel McAdams, really good actress. I mean, I don't know if she's going to be in Doctor Strange 3. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I get this feeling that she's not going to come back for the third movie. I mean, if not, wow, that's going to... I mean, I don't want to say it's going to suck, but that's going to be a little devastating. Like, whoa. You know? But let's get into... I really do not... as you can tell... I'm going to get into the negatives, so grab your popcorn, guys, because you're going to hear me, the classic me, being straight up honest with you guys, where I talk about flaws in this movie. So get ready. In 5, 4, 3, 3.5, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so negative number 1. The Illuminati. That's right, the Marvel's Illuminati. What the fuck? Not to sound negative or rude or anything, but all jokes aside, seriously, like, what in the ass? What in the ass? Like, what were they doing with the Illuminati? I'm like, okay, Strange, he gets into the chamber or whatever it is. He sees the Illuminati. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This scene was pretty good. However, it's wasted, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. So we get introduced to the Illuminati. They're all pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie. And this was the problem I had. This is the problem I had with this particular scene. And again, spoilers to those who didn't have seen the movie. 5 or 6 minutes later, they all get killed by, spoiler, Wanda, and I'm gonna get into her in a second. I'm like, they all get massacred by Wanda, and I'm like, what is this garbage? So you're telling me, I'm like, hold up. I'm like, you're telling me, Mr. Fantastic, Reed, Smart Guy Richards, of Earth 838, of that world, you're telling me that... So you're telling me the smartest guy in that universe, in that version, mind you, just gets wasted? Like, what? Like, what the like, what is this? Like, come on! So... And this is another scene this is another part in the movie that pissed me off. I'm like, so you have this, and spoilers, you have this scene where Reed Richards is like, oh, this is Black Bolt. He can kill you with one shot by just saying one word. And I'm like, number one, why would you tell her that? Why would you tell her that? Do you have any idea what kind of stupid mistake you just made, you retard? And then a few seconds later, Scarlet Witch is like, oh, what mouth? And then, of course, this is where she kills, spoiler, Black Bolt in a very stupid way. I'm not gonna lie. And then she kills Mr. Fantastic, and then she kills that world's version of Captain Carter. I'm like, what? And then Monica Rambeau, like that world's Captain Marvel, mind you, is fighting Wanda, or sorry, Scarlet Witch, and this is a scene now that honestly pissed me off. Monica is like, "Get the heck out of my universe!" It was something like that. I'm like, bitch, in my mind, I'm like, bitch, get off my theater screen, whatever you are. Whoever you are. And Wanda kills her, and I was actually happy when Wanda killed her. I'm like, good, get the fuck out of my... Good, I'm glad you're dead. Get out of here. You're not the real Captain Marvel. And this is another scene that pissed me off. So, we get, spoiler, Charles Xavier... That world's Charles Xavier, mind you, not the one that died from the X-Men world. Keep that in mind. So this version of Charles, he screams enough, and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, Charles Xavier and Scarlet Witch going at it on screen. Let's go. And then I'm like, okay, they showed a scene where this version of Professor X, he's in the mind of the Wanda this girl possessed, and Professor X is like, your body's been taken over, just grab my hand. I'm like, oh my goodness. That part did have me at the edge of my chair, I'm not gonna lie. And after that, I mean, I guess you could say, the Wanda this girl was possessing in the mind, okay, let's just say she vanishes. And what happens next pissed me off a little bit. This is what got me off. I mean, the scene was well shot. It was a scary scene, I'm not gonna lie. However, Professor X, and this is what pisses me off, Professor X dies again. I'm like, what the fuck? What? So, let's talk about this for a minute. Hold up. So, Professor X, one of the most powerful mutants in the X-Men, mind you. You're telling me he dies again. Again. For a third... No, this is not the second time, mind you. This is the third time that we see a version of Professor X dying on screen. Like, what? What? This is a question I was asking myself. I'm like, first off, why would you kill off Professor X again? You already did that twice. Because theoretically speaking, in the X-Men universe, with the X-Men movies from back in the day, you already did that. You did that once in X-Men: The Last Stand, and you did it again in the Logan film, which was fine. However, they did it again, mind you, in the MCU film. That being Doctor Strange 2. I'm not gonna call it Multiverse of Madness, since we'll get into that in a minute. But point being, they did it again. They did it again in a second. Well, not second. They did it theoretically speaking, they did it a third time. A third time. I'm like, why? What's the point of killing off Professor X if you already did it twice? I'm like, whoever wrote the script, I'm like, what? Why would you have, like, whoever wrote this scene, like the script of the scene, who wrote the script? I'm curious now. Like, who wrote the script of this scene? Because did this person not watch X-Men The Last Stand or Logan? Did this person not watch none of those movies? Obviously not, because guess what? He dies again. Again! I'm like, why? Why? So and another thing too, I am going to point this out now. Why introduce the Illuminati just to kill them all off? Like, what was the point of bringing in Monica Rambeau, John Brzezinski as Mr. Fantastic, bringing back Patrick Stewart as Professor? Like, what was the point of all of that? Just to kill them all off? Like, what's the point of a cameo if it's not even gonna matter? You know, this is what I've been saying before. If you have got, and this goes for any movie, show, or book, if you have something that doesn't make sense for the story, then don't have it. Like, if it doesn't make sense, don't have it in your story. You can easily cut it out and replace it with something else. Sure, it's going to take time. It may not be easy, but at least it's better than having a scene that's not going to matter. This is what I'm talking about. If certain stuff doesn't make sense for the story, then don't have it in your story. Another negative I'm going to point out right now. This is the most obvious negative. Let's be honest here. It is the most obvious negative. Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. What the actual F did they do to her in this film? Because, spoiler alert, for WandaVision, in WandaVision, she left the Westview. She straight up left that area. I'm like, okay, she left that area. It's almost like they set it up. It's like, I'm like, okay, she did the right thing, which was fine. She left the area, which was fine. But I'm like, I don't know. It's like they were setting up for the end of WandaVision. It's like they were setting up one. It's like they were setting up. It was. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like, in a way, it's like they were setting her up to go on a different path, like a different journey. You know what I mean? It's like they're setting her up to go on a different journey. But that, I don't know. Again, it's kind of, even if that was the case, even if it was the case, it's like ruined now because of what they did to her in this film. So let me get back into that. So they were fucking, I don't know how they did this. They ruined Wanda's character throughout the whole film, mind you. And the excuse this was the excuse. They said she got corrupted by the Darkhold. And I'm like, how? I'm like, okay, she's one of the most powerful beings in the MCU, which is something I could see, because she's the Scarlet Witch, so it makes sense for her to be a powerful being. That part makes sense. She has the powers of a being, not of a celestial, no, of somewhat of a being. But this is what I was about to ask. How? I'm like, okay, if you're powerful, how the fuck is she able to get... First off, how is she able to get corrupted by the Darkhold if she's this all-powerful being? If she is the Scarlet Witch, which she is, why would she just willingly let herself get corrupted like that? Like, what? Am I not wrong when I point that out? Because I'm like, come on, you're the Scarlet Witch and you're gonna let yourself get corrupted by a fucking book? Like, what? I didn't understand that. And then in the beginning of the movie, the first, like 10 minutes? 9 or 10 minutes? When we do see her again, she's bad. Like, what? Like, what was up with that? And then she mentions, of course, Strange gave Thanos the Time Stone. and she was like, "Oh, you get seen as the hero, while I get seen as the villain." I'm like, it was something of that nature. I'm like, okay, you're bringing up somewhat of a point, okay. You're bringing up somewhat of a point, but but then in my mind, I'm like, that still doesn't give you the excuse to go after a woman, yeah, like a kid, mind you. Yeah, again, I don't know what the fuck. Like, what the fuck was? I don't know. Like, I know it's not Sam Raimi's fault or whatever, but the writers of this film, like, what were they on? Like, were they on like cocaine or something? Like, drugs? Were they smoking something? Like, what were they on? Because they're somehow, I don't know who did this. Like, who wrote this movie? Who wrote this movie? I don't understand. It's like whoever wrote this movie. It's like whoever wrote this movie was like, okay, we're gonna have Scarlet Witch as the big bad guy. I'm like, and then people like me, I'm like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you want to have Scarlet Witch as the big bad guy because if you've done your homework, Scarlet Witch in the MCU, she's not a villain. She's not a villain. I guess you could say old school. I guess you could say Wanda from the comics was a villain, but that doesn't mean. But she became good in the comics. In the MCU, she was good no matter what. Like in Age of Ultron, the third Captain America movie, Avengers. Yeah, she was Avengers Endgame. Yeah, she was good. She was an Avenger. She was good no matter what. But somehow in this movie, they ruined her character. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Why would you have her be the villain? Why? Out of all of the characters you could have had be the villain, why would you have her be the villain? Why? That makes no sense. And here's why it doesn't make no sense. Because it retcons Wanda being an Avenger. It retcons the good, this is what pisses me off. Every piece of good that Wanda did, it ends up not mattering now. It's like every good thing she ever did as an Avenger, it's like it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter now because look at what happened. They just ruined her character. It's like the goodness of her character. Like I know she lost vision and somewhat of her kids, but I'm like, come on, she's the Scarlet Witch. Why would you let her? Why would you let her be corrupted by the Darkhold? Number one, and number two, why would you make her the villain anyway? Like, I don't understand. Like, wasn't this supposed to be a Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch team up movie? Wasn't that the plan? Wasn't that the plan of the movie? What? So you're basically saying you lied. It's like Marvel saying, "Oh, we lied," where we said like, "Oh, this movie was going to be somewhat of a Doctor Strange and Wanda team up film." So theoretically, they sort of lied in a way, because wasn't this movie supposed to be Wanda and Strange versus Nightmare? I'm confused. Wasn't that the original plan? Why didn't they go with that idea? Forget the multiverse. Like, forget America Chavez. I don't know why would they bring her in this early. Yeah, I don't know what was the point of bringing her character in, to be honest. I'm like, forget about the multiverse. Forget about Earth 3A, whatever. Forget about the Illuminati. Forget about bringing in pointless cameos. Forget Wanda being the villain. Instead of Wanda being the main villain, have the main villain of this movie be Mordo. I'm like, okay, if it's not gonna be Nightmare, if you're not gonna make a rated R Doctor Strange, if you're not gonna have Nightmare as the big bad guy, have the main villain of this movie be Baron Mordo. Because I kid you not, there was something, I don't know, there was like a scene where he's talking to this one guy. I remember the scene clear as day. He's talking to this one guy, and I forgot what the guy was saying to Mordo. It was something along the lines of, "Oh, what are you doing?" And then that's where Baron Mordo says, "I finally see the problem in the world. Too many sorcerers." And I'm like, okay, they're probably setting him up to be the next bad guy. I'm like, let's go. Because in the comics, him and Strange and Mordo, they become enemies. That makes sense. In the comics, yeah, they become enemies. That makes sense. But there's none of that in this movie. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like Doctor Strange 2, yeah, there's nothing like that in this movie. There's none of that in this movie, which disappoints me. Like, I don't know why. I just wanted to see Strange and, like, I don't know. They could have done something. They could have done a prequel Doctor Strange movie, like, set before the Multiverse of Madness, where we get this sad battle between the former teacher and the student, between two people that were starting to become friends, but in the end they became enemies. That's something that could have worked. However, that's not what we got. That's not what we got. What we got was Wanda killing mad people. Killing mad people just to get her kids back. I'm like, you already did this story. You already did this story in WandaVision, where WandaVision wanted her husband back. Yeah, where she wanted Vision back. You already did that in WandaVision. So the fact that you're going to repeat that story in Doctor Strange 2, I'm like, what? That part makes no sense. I'm not gonna lie. That part makes no sense. Like, that makes no sense. Wanda, like, oh, I want my kids back. Oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm like, what? That makes no sense. That ruins Wanda. Wanda being the villain ruins her character and makes it ruins her character, number one. Number two, all the good she ever did as an adventure, as an Avenger, it means nothing now. Because look at what she did. Look at what she did in Earth 838. Look at what she did. How is because sooner or later, all the other Avengers, like Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Hawkman, they're all going to find out, and they're probably going to be like, well, how can we trust you? Because knowing Kevin Feige, knowing the stupid writing, they're going to be like, oh, how can we trust you? You did all this, blah, blah, blah. If you did, I don't know, I feel like they would be like, well, if you did this in this world, what makes you think you're not going to do the same thing in this reality? I don't know. It's something like, I don't know. It's such a mess. Such a mess. I mean, the movie, it's still a good movie. However, some of the decisions in this movie are like, what? 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 Because I'm telling you guys right now, if I was rewriting Doctor Strange 2, you guys probably would have enjoyed my version. You guys probably would have liked my version of what if a sequel to Doctor Strange happened. I don't know. You guys probably would have liked my version more than the version we actually got. You know? I don't know, this movie, like, what the fuck was it? It's still a good movie. I'm not gonna lie, it's still a good movie. But the problems that are in this movie are questionable decisions and issues I have as a Marvel fan. I'm like, what is the point of Wanda being a villain? There's no point. There's no point to her being a villain. There's no point. There's no point to her being a villain. Yeah, there's no point. There's no point to her being a villain. Elizabeth Olsen, God bless her soul. She's a fantastic actress. an amazing actress, a legendary actress. I'm not gonna lie. She was good in this movie from the material she was given. But either way, the material she was given, it wasn't good material. Like, she was given material of the Wanda character, and this material was her not being the good guy, but instead of her being the villain. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm sorry. When it comes, and to make matters worse, they pull a Walking Dead 180 on us. They pull 180 Walking Dead style on us, where Wanda just sacrifices herself to destroy the Darkhold, and I'm like, well, you don't have to destroy the castle. You all you really have to do is just travel. Because you have that power to do so. You can just travel to different realities and destroy different versions of the Darkhold book. You could still do that. You don't have to bring down an entire, you don't have to bring down an entire big castle on you just to erase one book. Because now people are divided. Like, some people, and not me, I kid you not, as of right now, while I'm making this video, there are some people divided. It's like 50-50. Like, 50% of people think she's dead. Another 50% of people think she's alive. And I'm like, okay, if she's alive, just confirm she's alive. Just confirm she's alive. I mean, I love Wanda. I mean, I still love the character of Wanda, but this movie still hurt. But it doesn't excuse the fact that this movie still ruined the character. Like, what was the point of Wanda in this movie? What was the point of Wanda in this movie if she wasn't going to get a happy ending? What was the point of that? I'm like, okay, if she's not gonna reunite with Vision, if she's not gonna reunite with her kids, if she's not gonna bring her kids over to the main MCU Earth, then what's the fucking point of having her the villain? And what's the point of having her do all this just to bring back her kids that are not even alive in the main? I don't know. Either way, it's fucking stupid. Like, what is this? Like, what is this? I mean, is there more somewhat of positive in the movie? Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, there's some good stuff I enjoyed. Like Wong, I enjoyed his character. I enjoyed the Strange. I enjoyed the variant Christine. I enjoyed that scene where Professor X came into the Illuminati chamber. He was riding that gold chair, and the original X-Men theme music was playing from the 1990s X-Men show. I actually liked that part because that made me feel like a little kid again. I was one of those little kids where I was watching that show. I'm like, that made me feel good about myself because in that scene in the movie, in Doctor Strange 2, like that scene in the movie in Doctor Strange 2 where that alternate version of Professor X came in the Illuminati chamber in his yellow chair while that song was playing in the background. I liked that scene. I liked that. That made me feel good about myself. It was one of the best scenes of the whole film. It made me feel like a little ass kid again because I was one of those kids that grew up watching that show. I was once one of those kids. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I don't know. Again, this movie was, it's an okay movie. I'm not gonna lie. It's an okay Marvel movie. But again, some of the decisions they make in this movie, it's like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know what I mean? And another thing, I'm sorry, I have to bring this up. There's more screen time for Wanda in this movie than there is Doctor Strange. I know this was in a leak, and I know they were talking about it. And I know some people are like, oh, that's not true. It's titled Doctor Strange. But then when I actually watched the movie, I slowly noticed that, like, wow, that was actually true. It was more about Wanda than it was Strange. And I'm like, well, why couldn't you just not have Wanda in this movie then? Instead of the movie being titled, instead of the movie titled Doctor Strange, I would have just titled it Scarlet Witch. Instead of this movie titled Doctor Strange I would have just titled it Scarlet Witch. Because because I kid you not, Scarlet Witch gets a lot of screen time in this movie, and we get less screen time with Strange, and it's actually sad because Doctor Strange is a pretty good character, and I'm like, okay, why are you gonna title this movie Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness if it's not even about Strange? That's another thing that pissed me off. But yeah, another problem I had with I had a problem with America Chavez in this movie because the actress, again, she's not a bad actress. I know she's like just a kid, but here's the issue. I don't know. I feel like the actress, she's not a bad actress. The actress they picked, she's not a bad actress. It's just, I don't know, like in the comics, in the Marvel comics, isn't America Chavez in the comics like older? But for this version, she's like what, 13 or 14 years old, and she's just there. Like what? And speaking of the character of America Chavez in this movie, she was just running and running and running, being a damsel in distress. Like Strange and Wong were trying their best to protect this little ass, like this running little kid from somebody that shouldn't even be the villain. I'm like, okay, if Strange and America Chavez are running away or trying to run away from somebody, why couldn't you just have that somebody be Nightmare? Why couldn't you have him in this movie? Why couldn't you have Nightmare? You could have, that's another character you could have had as the main villain if you weren't gonna have Mordo as the big bad guy. I'm like, okay, if you couldn't have Mordo be the villain, I'm like, okay, if you couldn't have Baron Mordo be the villain for Doctor Strange 2, then why not have Nightmare as the villain? Why not have Wanda and Doctor Strange go up against Nightmare? That would have been amazing. And Sam Raimi, he's a great actor. He's a really good actor, and I feel bad because with Sam Raimi, you can tell that he's trying his absolute best to make this movie good. But this movie, like, what? It's like, I don't know, it's like Marvel pulled a Sony where they're putting Sam Raimi in another position as director where he's trying his best to make this movie good, but in the end, it just, the problems, like, some of the problems keep rising up. And I'm sorry, that's not fair for him. That's not fair for Sam Raimi. He's a great director. He's a great director. Listen, he's the reason as to why we have the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. He's the reason we have those movies. And the fact that they really did something because I'm like, come on. Sam Raimi is a good director. He did a pretty great job with half his stuff in this movie, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I feel like Marvel put him in this position where you have this movie that might not do good, but Sam Raimi's trying his best to, make the movie good for the fans. You know, and it hurts. It really hurts because with a director like him, he's trying his best. Even in the interviews, in one of the interviews, he even said it. It was something along the lines like, "Oh, we had to give the fans what they wanted." And when I heard that, I'm like, that's a great director right there because at least with him, he was like, okay, I'm gonna try my best to get the fans what they want. That's why I respect. I respect that. That's why I like Sam Raimi as a director. He's a great director. But this movie is still bad. Well, not bad. What you guys know what I mean. Not bad, but some of the things in this movie was bad. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, it's still an okay movie. It's still a good, okay movie to rewatch. But I don't know. I'm gonna feel weird. Like one of these days, like in the future, I'm gonna feel weird rewatching the movie, knowing that this is how much problems it has. But I don't know. Again, this movie, I don't know. Marvel needs to. I don't know. Marvel needs to stop. Marvel needs to stop bringing in characters that are just going to lead into the next projects. Marvel needs to stop that, in my opinion. This movie would have been great. This movie would have been so great if you had Nightmare as the villain and had him fight Scarlet Witch. That would have been, I don't know, in my opinion, that's one of the things that could have been really good. But unfortunately, people are divided. After watching this movie, people are divided. Some people, and this is the thing about Scarlet, and now people are probably not liking Scarlet Witch because this is why I didn't want Scarlet Witch being a villain. Because if she's a villain and she's doing all this crazy stuff, no one's gonna like her. And look at what just fucking happened. Unbelievable. I can't believe this. Now people are divided. Like half of people like her, other half of people don't. They don't care about her no more. Because it's the direction they took. Now, just like for example, one half people think she's dead, and the other half says she's not. Like, what is up with everything dividing people nowadays? Like, what? Why can't we just have a simple movie or franchise where everybody is not fucking divided, where we're all together, not against each other? Like, why can't we just... Can we have one thing that's not ruined for once? Can we just have one thing that doesn't divide the fan base? Can we not have that? You know? I don't know. Again, the negatives I just said in this review video are the negatives I have with the movie. They're just like, what? But anyway, I mean, that's it for this video. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Anyway, if you like the movie, good for you. I don't blame you. If you enjoyed the movie. I really don't. To those who didn't like the movie, I can understand why. If you didn't like the movie, you can comment down below. Tell me why you didn't like it. But yeah, I'm gonna close it off here. I hope you all stay safe, and yeah, because stay tuned, because Season 3, Episode 2 of my Walking Dead reboot series titled Sickened is coming very soon, so please stay tuned for that. Thank everyone watching this video, thank you all so much, and yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. Happy Mother's Day, stay safe, and as always, peace.